Hey, folks. Seems there's a lot of confusion out there these days. The world is a scary place. That's why I don't go it alone. I get my draft advice straight from the horse's mouth. I use the Fantasy Footballer's Ultimate Draft Kit. It's chock full of all kinds of stuff like premium rankings, sleepers, values, breakouts, and of course my favorite, handcuffs. So don't find yourself stranded all alone, shaking and afraid. Go to www.ultimatedraftkit.com and get yourself a roadmap to a fantasy championship. Hee-haw!
Hey, this is Arian Foster, running back from the Detroit Lions, and you listen to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Yeah! You're darn right, yeah!
How's it going?
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. I'm your host.
Oh, my goodness.
Mike Wright.
Who do you have with you?
Jason Moore and Andy Holloway, who's the bad take guy.
Oh,
Not the host.
out of the gates.
Huh. I always introduce you as the Fantasy Hitman.
Because it's accurate. It's accurate.
All right. Well,
Hey, tit
little
for tat, right?
Wild West going on this morning. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your actual host, and I'm with a couple of Stranger Things over here. And we've got a great show. We've got breakouts and busts on the show today. That is the headline that you need to hear. And so I'm extremely excited to get into that. We also have a very fun debate we're going to get into here momentarily. And as the intro said, definitely check out the Ultimate Draft Kit if you are drafting this weekend. I know that we, in our league of record, like the big-time 10-year running
Big time.
the one that Jason keeps bragging about, that Jason broke the trophy for. We're drafting on Labor Day, so that's going to be fun. I can't wait to find out.
If Jason thinks there's a world where breaking the trophy when you're the champion doesn't curse and haunt your team, you are in for a rude awakening of losing.
I do not believe in such nonsense.
I am considering not drafting any players and just going in with my keepers because I don't really need anybody beyond Arian Foster.
Oh, well, I'll talk about him on today's Breakouts and Bust show. We'll see which category I put him in.
Which one is he
All
in?
right, we're jumping right in because that's what we do every Thursday during the entire year. Our quick question is going to be something special, so let's do that right now.
It's time for the FanDings.com Debate of the Week.
All right, Debate of the Week time. Every week, we're going to have a one-on-one debate, and the
mano.
the third man, whoever that is, will decide the victor of the debate. Today's FanDings.com Debate of the Week is simple. Is Kirk Cousins a QB1? Is Kirk Cousins a QB1? In the corner for Mr. Captain Kirk is Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright.
Yes.
In the opposite corner is Jason
Did you
Moore.
forget my name?
No, I was just trying to come up with some sort of ring name for you. But
Sure.
Double Stuff himself is coming out and battling against Kirk Cousins as a QB1. I'm going to give Jason the opportunity to start this debate, and because he only likes to finish things, so we'll see if he can win it with the start.
Well, now are we going back and forth, or are we
Actually, yes. You guys have a couple minutes to discuss. Is Kirk Cousins a QB1?
All right, so I do not believe Kirk Cousins is a QB1. I have many different things I can put into evidence here. How about the decision-making to kneel down the clock on the goal line? That's what you want out of your main quarterback, your leader, your mental leader on the field. I don't think he can get it done. I don't think the Redskins think he can get it done. They didn't pay him a long-term contract. That says something to me. And I remember a couple years ago when Nick Foles threw very few interceptions the same exact way that Kirk Cousins threw very few interceptions last year, by sheer luck of defenses. I'm going to start out with pretty much I'll say one thing and then I'll kick it over to you, Mike, which is his home and away last year was very, very different. If you take a look at how he performed at home in those games, he had 7 more fantasy points per game than when he was on the road. Is Kirk Cousins a very good streaming candidate who can put up a lot of points? Absolutely. Is he going to be a top 12 quarterback at the end of the year? No, sir.
The point of a quarterback who's very good at home, not so much on the road, reminds me a lot of a great fantasy quarterback named Drew Brees. But I'm talking about Kirk Cousins right now. The quarterback 8 from last year, number 1 in the league in completion percentage. You think, oh, well, maybe he didn't throw a lot, except he was 12th in attempts, 8th in average yard per attempt. So he's not just checking it down. He's bombing it out and completing at a high percentage. He had a touchdown in every game. Who else did that last year for the quarterback position? The answer is nobody. Only Kirk Cousins. And he did this. He had Deshaun Jackson, his number 1 wide receiver, for basically 8 games. About half of the season last year, he still ended up as the quarterback 8. We have the breakout Jordan Reed superstar at the tight end position. We have Jamison Crowder emerging as an underneath reliable PPR guy. Maybe we have Josh Doxson, a first-round draft pick. And then you go to the running game. Can they even get it done? Can Matt Jones get it done on the ground? I'm not so sure if he can. You know who can get it done through the air? Chris Thompson. The final 10 games for Kirk Cousins, you think, oh, he throws picks all the time. Final 10 games, here's his split. Touchdown, interception ratio. 23-3. 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in the final 10 games. So I ask you, Jason Moore,
you
Give like that?
Oh, I do like that. Look, he finished as the number 8 quarterback last year, and that is, I mean, how can you say he's not going to be a top 12? Now,
that's what I'm arguing.
What's amazing is last year he was only the number 8, despite the fact that he had 5 rushing touchdowns. He had 5 touchdowns running the ball, which we know in that scoring with 8, where he finished 8. Rushing touchdowns are worth a whole lot more. What's crazy is I believe he rushed the ball 25 or 26 times, so it's like the highest touchdown ratio of all time. It's also 5. It's also 5 more touchdowns than his previous career high of 0 in a season. So I'm going to go ahead and take, let's say, 4 of those away. Also, I love that you pointed out his main 2 targets are Jordan Reed and Deshaun Jackson, 2 of the most injury-prone guys. And so if you're saying, hey, going forward this season, it's got to be one of those guys, I'm not buying it. And the final thing that I will throw out in my defense, other than the fact that there are so many good quarterbacks that are better, it's just even if he's good, he's not going to be top 12, is the fact, and this one comes from Whiskey Tango Foxtrot over at RotoViz. He points out the fact that last year, the 3 worst teams for fantasy production through the air were the New Orleans Saints, Philadelphia Eagles, and New York Giants. He played 5 games against them, and he averaged over 8 fantasy points more in those games. All 3 of those teams have upgraded their Ds.
All right, you get the final word here, and then we're wrapping it up.
All right, my final word here. I believe 2 of those 3 teams will account to 4 games for Kirk Cousins.
I just said they all upgraded their defense.
That remains to be seen.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Here's my final verdict on this, and I'm obviously going to answer not as a person giving his opinion on Kirk Cousins, but on the debate itself. I'm going to give it to Jason, and I'm going to tell you why. The debate goes to Jason because of this simple fact. It's easier, in my opinion, to pull him down from what you said. The number 8 spot is where he ended last year. There are outlier type of numbers, 23-3 with the completion interception, some close calls with that, the rushing touchdowns. Going from 8 to 13, which would put him outside of that top 12, I think is an easier argument to make than him being able to sustain that and stay inside that top position. So that's my final verdict. And look, you can debate this exact question, dozens more with other Foot Clan listeners on FanDings.com, where the best sports fans debate sports.
Yeah,
it's
you
simple.
You
the
can
FanDings
vote.
app. So play now, FanDings.com, and when you sign up, use the promo code Footballers. It's free. That just lets them know where you found them, where you found the app. So FanDings.com, use the promo code Footballers. And we're going to jump into the news. I want to remind everybody where they can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. We're going to be doing a lot of periscoping, interaction. We do that all the time. The social media game. Mike is the Adam Schefter of the group here, where he's got his phone out and he's just twittering all day long. So if you've got stuff you want to give us feedback about, check that out. Also, we mentioned it, I think, 2 days ago. The Wheel of Water app, we've got a new version coming out for iOS in the next couple days. We've got the Android version up. That's a free, fun way. You can make a bunch of preseason bets and then pay them out and then use the hashtag Wheel of Water when you send those videos out.
Wheelofwater.com. We know it's kind of hard to find on Android, so just go to wheelofwater.com and you'll get a direct link.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right. Colin Kaepernick says he believes he can still win the starting job.
Good for you, Colin.
I'm with you, buddy.
Hey, step one, believe in yourself.
I want the news to come out, and have one of the quarterbacks in his situation go, I don't think I can win the job.
I'm a great number 2. I'm a great backup.
I can't believe that
I think Mike just threw it's not news. Mike just threw it in to make me feel some solidarity with the fact that I have like another. I said it's not a foregone conclusion that I think he's going to win it. I just am going to give him one more preseason game before I make the final determination. Teddy Bridgewater is expected to start Sunday's game. He had a shoulder injury.
That was weird.
Yeah.
That was weird. He was a late scratch from week 2 preseason. There was no mention of it, and then it was just very bizarre, but he's back. So,
all right, couple pieces of Lions news. They Jason alluded to their no-huddle offense. They ran it on 62% of plays during the preseason so far.
Yes.
Obviously working out the kinks because they want to implement that offense. I think it's
get in on that. That is a high volume. That is what you want for fantasy football.
They're one of my darlings of the fantasy world this year. I love Marvin Jones, Golden
love Matthew
Tate.
Stafford.
Love Matthew Stafford. We like Ebron. We'll talk about him. Interesting fact, Stevan Ridley has been cut.
Yeah, goodbye, Stevan Ridley.
Did I not say he looked like he's done? I mean,
he has for 2 years.
He's the Hakeem Nicks of the running back position. He's young, but he's done.
Yeah, I wanted to believe he could come back. It just didn't happen.
What does this do for you with Zach Zenner? Anything? Are you drafting Zach Zenner in
maybe
normal leagues?
Extremely late. I'm willing to take the flyer on Zenner. He's going to be the big back, possibly the goal line guy, but I think a question to ask then, are they even going to have a goal line back, or are they just going to be throwing the ball and going up tempo and saying, "Go theoretic goal line"?
It's comforting to me if you're going to invest in Amir Abdullah, though. If they're cutting Stevan Ridley, they're not worried about Amir Abdullah's health. Because if they were worried about that shoulder and him being back and ready for action, they're not going to cut a running back at the same time.
We should see Josh Gordon on Friday against the Bucs, so expect to see Josh Gordon out on the field. Also, the ESPN's Jamison Hensley suggested the Ravens could be employing a 4-back committee to start the season, essentially saying nobody has played well enough to separate from the group, and that they could open up the season with Forsett as the starter, Buck Allen and Dixon as third down backs, and Terrance West as the short yardage option, which is exactly how I think it will be. I think Dixon might not get as much playing time. But I think 3-4 person.
It's very, very gross. It would also be very unmarked Trestman-like to jump off of everything that he's done in his coaching career, a very long coaching career to this point. I'm not saying it's impossible.
With lots of different teams after struggling in year 2.
I'm just saying he still uses one running back.
Yeah, even in the struggling year 2.
So the 4-man Giants rotation would surprise me.
Let me ask you one final question here. Who do you think will end up the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos Week 1 of the NFL season?
I'm still going to go with
Siemian.
Really? I'm still going to go with Mark Sanchez. I think he's looked okay, and they paid him.
Oh, they're cutting him.
I think he will either start or be cut.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Also, in the news, breaking news.
Oh, hit the button.
Breaking news.
We have preseason games tonight. Yes! That's the breaking news.
Jason,
is that tonight
look,
the dress rehearsal games are here, and I'm I'm wanting to fast forward time and watch them.
Jason, the people come to us for reliable news.
That's true.
That is not breaking news.
Oh,
I feel like I wasted that drop.
That was breaking news 6 months ago when they released the schedule.
Seriously. All right. Before we get into we're going to start with the breakouts. Before we do that, I want let's chat for a second about pristineauction.com. Some of our favorite people over there at Pristine Auction, and one of the best websites you ever go to. They have so many awesome autographed pieces of sports memorabilia, all types of memorabilia, and we absolutely love them. Mike is on that website all the time, and what's great is they have affordable sports memorabilia that you can check out. Go over there, let them know you found pristineauction.com from the show, and just browse, see the cool stuff.
Sometimes
Jordan Reed's jersey behind us we got from Pristine Auction, autographed jersey.
There was a listener who sent me a picture on Twitter of he decked out his television area.
I was
going to
bring that up.
There's like 6 frame jersey. It looks.
He calls it the Hall of Fame, and behind his couch
unbelievable.
is just a row of incredible signed jerseys. And some of these jerseys you can win some for cheaper than you can go buy the jersey. You can go and find a Babe Ruth signed ball, if that's your thing.
And Pristine Auction guarantees the authenticity. They only use the best authenticators in the world. So check out Pristine Auction. That's PRISTINE auction.com. Make an account. It's free, and let them know that the footballers sent you.
That's right. We thank Pristine Auction for supporting the show. Let's get into the breakouts.
Breakouts.
All right, we're talking breakouts. How would you define a breakout, Mike?
I would define a breakout as a player who has shown some hints of skill in the past, and that this is the year that they take the big step forward to become a week-to-week fantasy producer.
Would you agree with that definition?
Yeah. This is going to be when, basically next year these guys are going to be drafted far higher than they are this year because they broke out this year.
Yeah. Going from a fantasy player to a fantasy game changer, hopefully. Somebody that has flashed and shown signs of success, but with another year under their belt, they just might make a leap. So the way we're doing this is we're going to each pick a breakout to reveal to you, and then we're going to give you a few extra names, and then we'll get into the busts. So is there a volunteer to step out first and give their breakout candidate, or do you want me to do that?
I'd be happy to go first.
Why don't you go first, Jay?
Sure thing. I have liked this man for a long time. His luscious locks and flowing long hair back in the Colts day. Yeah, R.I.P. Really won the hearts of many. I am talking about Coby Fleener, and I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Jason, Coby Fleener's already had a top 12 season. Hasn't he already broken out? And now I know what you're really thinking. You're thinking, wait, Coby Fleener's had a top 12 season before? Yes, and that's part of the point here is that 2 years ago with Andrew Luck, he finished as the number 6 tight end. And he did that only with
number 6?
He finished as the number 6. Exactly.
I actually was a little caught off guard. You said top 12. Why didn't you say a top 6 season?
Well, that was
your point.
That was the voice of public opinion.
Okay.
I mean, not the wisest.
It just seemed like you could have sent a stronger message there.
But he has been a top 6, and that was on 92 targets. Okay, so now he comes to a team that over the last few years has extremely targeted the tight end. Like Jimmy Graham in his last 3 years, and granted that was Jimmy Graham, but he had 125 targets, 142 targets, 135. Then Ben Watson comes. Now I love Ben Watson. He's one of my favorite players. We hope to get him on the show just to chat. But he's a little old. He's a little long in the tooth. He's not, he's no spring chicken. He's not a spark score freak.
Keep the cliches coming, please.
Coby Fleener is the spring chicken.
Last year, Ben Watson had 110 targets. And if you remember how the season started for the Saints, it wasn't very good. Ben Watson wasn't that involved. In fact, he kind of really got more involved starting in week 6. And he finished with 110 targets.
Yeah.
So I think Coby Fleener, who is a spark freak, he's 95th percentile in spark score. He's an athletic
about where I'm
freak.
at. Yeah.
Wait for the combine video coming shortly, and you will see that these are lies. Not on Coby Fleener, but on Andy Holloway.
Fair.
Anyways, my point is, I believe that there is he's going to have enough targets to truly break out. Right now, he's going in the 6th round. He's the 5th or 6th tight end off the board. And the thing about Coby Fleener is the average draft position is really average. I see him usually go as either the 4th tight end off the board or like the 7th or 8th tight end. You know, it's one of those things where people might not believe. I believe, and I think he's going to have a breakout year.
All right, I like that one. I'm gonna jump in now. We'll save Mike for the end here. I'm gonna go with Melvin Gordon. And just as my fantasy MVP pick was a little bit scary for me to step out on a limb with Latavius Murray, I'm going to do it because I believe it. I believe Melvin Gordon is, I think he's a breakout candidate. And look, last year, if you looked at the statistics, by the way, my argument is not based in last year's statistics, thank goodness, he had a very, very bad season. He had one of the worst seasons for a first-round running back that has really ever happened. And you can find some small nuggets of success last year. He was actually very efficient in the passing game. When he was targeted, he caught more passes percentage-wise than any other running back in football. But he had a bad offensive line. He was not decisive behind the line of scrimmage, something you see a lot of the times from super athletic guys that come out of college and think they can do everything. And then all of a sudden they realize NFL players are much faster. But to me, in the preseason, when you watch him, it's obvious that Gordon is making decisions quicker. He's fighting through contact, which was something that he struggled with at times last season. And I think, plain and simple, he's going to have every opportunity. And, right, you got talent, you got opportunity, and you've got every chance to succeed if you have those two things. And so I think as a breakout guy, a guy that's going behind D'Angelo Williams
ridiculous
in drafts, he represents a breakout value. So I think, you get him in the 5th round, starting running back. I don't think, now I can be proven wrong, and the first, couple games off of the preseason haven't leaned me one way or the other, but you probably aren't going to get as bad of an offensive line as you had last year in San Diego. So to me, Melvin Gordon, I think, has everything that you want. I think they're going to give him every opportunity. They invested a high draft pick in him. And I like what I've seen in the preseason so far. So Melvin Gordon is the breakout candidate I'm bringing forward on today's show.
And the guy that I'm going to bring forward, I'm going to ask just a couple questions. If I could pique your interest in a wide receiver who is 6'2",
sure,
220 pounds,
perfect. That's how I design him.
Can run a 4.4. Whew! And this wide receiver is going to play for a team that will certainly throw the ball over 600 times. His quarterback is sure to have over 4,500 yards and most likely over 30 touchdowns. I'm talking about Donte Moncrief, wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Look, the breakout was coming last year. It was already in progress.
It really was.
But we had to hit a pause button.
We did. We had to take a step back while Andrew Luck had to get healthy.
The breakout took a kidney shot.
It did, yeah, it certainly did. Look, last season, Donte Moncrief with Andrew Luck as the quarterback, and we're talking a bad Andrew Luck. If you remember, he was not great while he was healthy.
55% completion or something like that.
So this is Moncrief's numbers with Luck last year, averaging 14 PPR points a game, almost a full touchdown a game, and 8 targets a game. And I'll break that out for you in case you're wondering. That's 128 targets. That number can even go up. Donte Moncrief is in his 3rd season. That is the breakout number. That's the magic number where we see wide receivers take their big leap if it's going to happen.
I hope that happens for our show next year. Hope we can take the big leap.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But I just see Moncrief in a perfect situation. They have transformed him. In his 2nd year, they used him as just a big play guy. And then last year, they said, you're going to be our possession guy. T.Y. Hilton will man the reins of the big play, and you're going to be the underneath guy who also has the physical ability to take it to the house at any moment. So you give me a team with a high-powered offense, high volume in passing, and a guy who could end up being the primary target. And for a team that, look, the Colts are not going to be able to run the ball. They're going to have to run through the air, New England Patriots style. Donte Moncrief, I love him. You're getting him in the middle of the 5th round right now, a guy that I see has as a wide receiver 2 upside, and I'm talking high wide receiver 2 upside.
That is exactly what my final question to you is going to be. What is the peak of Donte Moncrief in your mind? Everything goes perfectly fine. Is he the one there?
If you want, I will go bold. The absolute peak for Moncrief is a wide receiver 1. If he surpasses,
So that would be outperforming T.Y. Hilton.
yes,
Okay.
there is a world where he's better in fantasy football than T.Y. Hilton.
He was trending ahead before Luck went down. I mean, it's not
So
inconceivable.
be aware of that, people.
Yeah, Moncrief, middle of the 5th round. I'm targeting him everywhere.
Moncrief would have been my breakout when we were choosing who to go with. I was deciding between Fleener and Moncrief, so I completely agree with Donte.
With Donte.
Inferno.
His Inferno. All right. Michael Floyd. Eric.
That is so obvious.
What?
Dante's Inferno.
Well, he's got to
that's
light
just,
the field on
all
fire.
you're doing
first.
is saying a book name that has his name in it.
We'll see if he catches fire.
Have you not realized how I make my nicknames?
Very obvious things. Yeah.
That's
like,
how I roll.
Like Downtown Abbey.
Yeah, it's right there in front of you. You just got to reach out and grab it.
or misread it.
So this should be Dante's Inferno.
Yes.
Dante.
Yeah. Okay.
The defenses will be in the 7th layer of hell when they play against Donte Moncrief.
The 7th level. All right. Well, I'm going to give some other names to you real quick here. Michael Floyd, Eric Ebron, and Jameis Winston are 3 other names that we like as breakout candidates. You can read other ones on the Ultimate Draft Kit. Let's move on to the bus.
Bus.
Okay. That drop is funny to me. It's
I
just so
I really
so short.
I really like right when he said that the camera switched to Andy. It was like bust.
Hey.
Hey, I don't control the camera.
What are you inferring? I'm not the Stevan Ridley of this podcast.
Oh, Steven. R.I.P.
All right, we're going to get into the bust.
Goodbye.
Look, a bust is a player that does what?
Severely underperforms given their draft position.
That was a very concise, well done description. Yeah, severely underperforms given their draft position. You have those guys every single year that maybe
They crush you.
They crush you. They might look beautiful on the outside, but will beware. At least consider them as a possible bust candidate. There's some risk involved with these guys. I just disagree with one of them so much.
That's my favorite one because it's mine.
So let's start there, Jason. Why don't you kick it off again? Give me your bust candidate.
Sure thing. I will go easy on my bust. The low-hanging, obvious fruit that no one seems to be agreeing with right now, according to his ADP, which is rising and skyrocketing, is currently in the 5th. He will probably go higher and be in the 4th, which I believe, Andy, is where you have recently said you would take him. And I am speaking of your man, Arian Foster. All right, here's why Arian Foster.
That was actually the audible sound of my heart.
Yes, I know. We need to get you to a doctor immediately. Here's why Arian Foster,
Get me to
I believe,
Arian's doctor.
is going to be a bust.
You don't want to go there.
Arian Foster right now, for where he's being drafted, is being built up on narratives out of camp. People saying that this guy who they expected nothing out of, that he's looking good.
Who expected nothing out of?
I would say everybody. The
NFL?
The NFL. Just people. And then it's like, oh, he came. He passed our physical. Great. Oh, he's running great. He's better than Jay Ajayi. Woohoo! And here's the thing. Last year, before Arian Foster was injured, he rushed 63 times for 163 yards. That's 2.1 yards per carry. Now, I know he was okay in the passing game, but a lot of why he was okay in fantasy was the fact that in his 4 games, he scored 3 touchdowns. But he is not scoring 0.75 touchdowns a game on the Miami Dolphins. We talk about this a lot in other, all the time, every offseason, the fact that when veterans change teams, we don't have a very good track record at the running back position of success there. So he's got that to overcome. He's got the fact that he's old to overcome.
He's not that old. That's the one thing. He's 29.
I believe he'll be 30 this year, which is historically the
That's
year
old
that
for a
running
running
backs
back.
fall off. He's also coming off of a ruptured Achilles, which no running back has done. He's as healthy as Mr. Glass. Okay, that
I love
is
that
his,
movie.
That is his.
Is that an Unbreakable?
That
Right?
it is an
the music
Unbreakable
in that
Rest.
movie.
They call me Mr. Glass. And here's my outlook. I know, Andy, you want me to watch tonight and see what happens because he looked slow to me in his 2 carries the last preseason game. That's fair. You can't judge 2 carries. But whatever happens tonight for Arian Foster is going to stink. Because if he comes out and looks great, then his draft stock rises. And I don't think there's a world where he plays 16 games and is worth a 4th-round pick. That's going to be a bust pick when you grab him. And if he stinks, then that just says he's going to be what I think he's going to be, which is a bust this year. He's just got too much to overcome.
I joke about Arian Foster a lot because we go way back in fantasy football. Everything you said is dead on. And come on, if he's a 4th-round pick, I'm not taking Arian Foster over Jonathan Stewart.
Amen.
So, but I want to see what tonight is because
you have the hope. You have the
look,
like if he could come out and be a top 12 running back, it'd just be amazing. That would be your dream.
It's
come
not
true.
like you haven't spent the offseason talking about how that offense is going to improve. You think it's going to improve with Adam Gase?
The passing game, at least, yeah.
Okay, he's the head coach though. I mean, it's the whole team. He's an offensive guy. And that's why you made narratives for Jay Ajayi. But everything you said is right. Everything you said is right. And he's a bust compared to that draft position. He's a bust candidate, no doubt about it. I'm going to throw a name out there. I've struggled with him. I'll be honest with you. All offseason I've struggled with him. I wanted to believe. I really did. There was a period of time here, I think a couple months ago, I was moving him up quite a bit. I want to believe in Carlos Hyde, and I just don't. I don't believe in Carlos Hyde. He's going ahead of Melvin Gordon right now. He's going ahead of John Stewart. You talk about a 4th-round pick. He's almost a 3rd-round pick. He's at the top of the 4th, going ahead of Ryan Matthews. Yeah, Mike can't handle that. He gave me the Doc Brown there. Look, he's a guy, all right? He's a hard runner. He doesn't catch the ball. Sean Drone's going to be the pass-catching back predominantly.
The big salad himself. He's not a breakaway guy. He runs a 4.62. He had 1 carry last year of over 20 yards. So now you're telling me, okay, he has to be in the red zone to give you touchdowns. He's got to be inside the 10-yard line to give you touchdowns. And I don't think this team's that good. No offense to the 49er faithful out there. We've been talking to we had lunch with one of our writers that's a big 49er fan. I think you know it. I think you know the fact that this team's not going to be that good. They're in a very tough division. And here's something interesting, too. We talk a lot about the one statistic that we love about Carlos Hyde. And we say he's a yards after contact, break, tackle kind of guy. And he was. Statistically, he was very good. But here's the thing. He was dead last in the league in terms of how soon he received contact. Yards before contact.
Yeah, yards before contact. Just 1 yard. He didn't create separation from the defenders. The
offensive line didn't help.
The line didn't do him any favors. And so he broke some of those arm tackles, the leg tackles, but I think that inflated that number. And based on what I've seen, he got stuffed a lot in the preseason. I think he's an actual good player, but he's capped. He is ceiling capped here because he's not going to be in the red zone a ton. He's in a tough division. He's got players behind him to play on 3rd down, and it's all about that draft position, right? If I wouldn't make any of these arguments if he was sitting there as a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
I got to make him at the top of the 4th. So he's my bust candidate.
Yeah, I feel like for Carlos Hyde, I feel like I'm in a desert party, and there is a shirtless man playing the saxophone, and he's very, very sweaty and lubed up because I still believe. I still believe in Carlos Hyde.
Are you that saxophone
You're
man?
that player?
I'm referencing the Lost Boys. Clearly, you guys are not on board with this. But look,
it's okay. Our listeners will.
I still believe in Carlos Hyde. I agree, though, that the draft position stinks. I really wish he was in a 5th or 6th-round pick. The one thing I will a part of a reason I love Carlos Hyde, shout out to my man Adam Pfeiffer on Twitter, talked about this stat. This was Carlos Hyde running from the shotgun last year, 54 carries for 284 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's 5.3 yards a carry. Chip Kelly's going to run out of the shotgun. We know that's going to happen. So I believe, but the draft position I don't know if I can make that decision over the guys.
So you might say Carlos Hyde is your Arian Foster.
Maybe. I don't know.
Where you want to believe.
Yeah.
The draft position makes you hesitant, but you can see a way in which he would perform.
Okay, that's very fair. So my bust candidate, I'm going with Matt Forte. Look, he's going in the middle of the 4th round, similar to Foster. He's a 30-year-old guy going to a new team, hasn't fared very well in the past. Matt Forte has over 2,500 touches.
That is a lot. of work in the NFL.
The guy has been great. He's been fantastic. I just think that the breakdown is coming. And not only do I see the breakdown coming, there's competition there in the New York Jets for a guy going in the middle of the 4th round. Matt Forte signed a 3-year, $12 million deal. Not bad for a guy who's aging. Bilal Powell signed a 3-year deal for $11.25 million and is 27. So clearly they like Powell almost just as much as Matt Forte because Bilal Powell is spectacular in the passing game.
Powell's looked great this preseason.
So
too.
in Matt Forte, hopefully we get to see him in this 3rd week of preseason, but he hasn't played yet.
Right.
He's already injured. So let's say there's a world we see Bilal Powell eating into Matt Forte's passing downs work. Well, there's another guy who's going to eat into Matt Forte's goal line possibilities, and that is Kyrie Robinson, who is he's a bruising back. He's going to be great on the goal line. And then another shout out, Scott Barrett is on the show like weekly. So because he's giving me great nuggets that I already knew, but he put it into a statistical thing for me to share on the air. Here is the Matt Forte goal line success from 2007 to 2015. When he's 1 to 2 yards out, he is the worst among qualified running backs, and that's guys with over 25 carries. He's converting 38% of the time. 1 to 3 yards out, 2nd worst. 1 to 4 yards out, 3rd worst. 1 to 5 yards out, 3rd worst. He's not a goal line back. We wonder why he never got the goal line work in Chicago.
Do you think he was just getting stuffed in practice all the time, and that's why the Michael Bush situation was
we need
there?
Michael Bush.
I mean, the coaches knew that you can't run him on the goal line. That's not his specialty. But his specialty is catching the ball. Bilal Powell, I don't see any way Matt Forte returns on his 4th round value. I think Forte can be fine for fantasy purposes, just like Carlos Hyde, but not in the 4th round.
Sure. Yeah, that's a very good point. We have some other guys, kind of regression candidates. Tyler Eifert's another name that we throw out there as a regression guy. Obviously, he had just such a high touchdown total last year. We're not big fans of Big Ben for his draft position. He's another bust.
At all.
He was almost my bust alert just for where he's going in normal, your average draft. His name is better than his fantasy production.
Yeah, so you can check out more of those guys, see our rankings and stuff on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. We had a few people email us asking if we had hookups for FanDuel, if you're going to start playing FanDuel this year. It's real easy. You just go to FanDuel.com/footballers if you want to sign up for FanDuel and play this year. If you want to support the show, that's a way to do that. Get signed up, get some free entries on FanDuel. And then, look, we've got tomorrow's show. We're going through what? Sleepers?
Sleepers and values.
Sleepers
Those
and
are the
values.
guys that win your league.
Yeah, and stay tuned on YouTube. Twice a week we're doing the show after the show. We're going to do that today.
Hey, and FantasyJocks.com for all your trophy needs. Use promo code FOOTBALLERS. Thank you to Fantasy Jocks.
All righty, well, see you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.